Hello, everyone. So, I'm at home recording this, um, but for you, it will be Tuesday, and we are starting with a new lesson. So, we're still on week one, but this is lesson two, and it's talking about the wonder of all creation. So, our base scripture for this lesson is coming from Psalms 33, verses 7 and 8. And I'm going to be reading these verses, the scripture references from the NASB 2020 version translation. So, base scripture again is Psalms 33, 7 and 8, uh, New American Standard Bible 2020. He gathers the waters of the sea together as a heap. He puts the depths in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. So again, this is talking about the wonder of all creation. And again, I'm going to be looking at my notes. Um, there are many beautiful things in the world around us that we either brush off or rush by. We don't pay any attention to them. So some things that the author gave was a butterfly that's coming out of its cocoon, or this flower that's getting ready to open up, or even a snowflake falling from the sky, which I forgot myself, but snowflakes are identical, or they're identical amongst themselves. So there's no one snowflake that's alike. Every single snowflake has its own pattern, and that in itself, right, is kind of awesome how God put that kind of detail into a snowflake. So there's a lot of beautiful things in the world that we see. We're just kind of like, hmm. So my side note for this, children come in with a sense of wonder, especially babies, because they are seeing and experiencing the world for the very first time. Then we grow up and suddenly we become jaded. We're not all that impressed anymore, right? So even though, maybe nature is not your thing, but it's just when you really observe this world and how God has created things, it's awesome. I remember telling the ladies when I first taught this lesson how God literally had me I was on campus and he had me run through the sprinklers, which was so embarrassing. He had me run through the sprinklers and then he had me stop, right, and really take time to observe the leaves and the grass and how each blade of grass had different heights and shades and colors. And he's like, everybody on this earth is different. We're all varying heights and tones, or personalities and all these things, but when you bring them all together, it makes this amazing work of art, right? It's kind of representative of the body. So it's just something to keep in mind that God did not make us to be carbon copies, right? Like those snowflakes or just those little details. Um, we're all different, but when we come together, it makes this beautiful thing, right? So, direct quote from the book: psychologists, life coaches, and pain management experts all have made much about mindfulness in recent months. When we are mindful, we resist the temptation to rush, to brush off. When we are mindful, we pause. We stop to admire the wonders that lie before us. As believers, we should do this, admiring the Lord's power, creativity, and wisdom that mark His creation. As we pause, we worship. I can definitely attest to that. When I worked at camp, right, at Kids Across America, that was something that was just, you just had to do. You're in the middle of the woods, right? But learning how to pause and take a moment in that silence, and you're hearing the wind rustling through the leaves, and just in that moment you just feel so small. And just taking that moment to really just be still and worship God is a beautiful thing. And we absolutely shouldn't take that for granted. So here are some quotes or some scripture references rather. So the first is Psalms 104. Psalm 104 verse 24. Again, this is NASB 2020. Lord, how many are your works? In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your possessions. Everything in this world, everything on this earth belongs to God. There's nothing that you have ownership of. All of it belongs to Him. Psalms 33 and 8, NASB 2020. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of Him. So again, we have this invitation, as the author puts it, from the psalmist to just be in reverence of Him, to take awe, to just take a moment to pause and just be in awe of God for a second, right? The Bible urges us to stop rushing, to be still, and be in awe of all He's done, still doing, and has created. So again, my next side note, we take a simple thing like leaves for granted until it's a hot day, and we search eagerly for the tree that gives the most shade. Man might be able to replicate it in a lab, but we will never be able to speak or create something into existence from nothing. Even when we talk about Genesis, right, in the beginning, right, and how God spoke these things, right, but He took the time to make us. But it's ironic how we just look at stuff like it's just, whatever. Well, if it's just whatever, you speak it into existence. Like, you speak it from nothing. And so don't ever allow yourself to just get so jaded that, you know, you don't learn how to appreciate those little things, or you stop learning how to just have reverence even in the simple things. Because if you can't have reverence in the simple things, when the big things happen in your life, you just kind of brush that off too, like, well, or even worse, you take credit for something that was really a God thing. So careful. All right. So sometimes you will be busy or have very urgent matters in your life, but sometimes we also fail to pause and be still and rest because we are too self-important in our hearts and too doubtful of God and how He cares for us. So my last side note, even on the busiest day, you have time. Even on a day when the attacks seem relentless, you have time. We make time for what's important to us. We'll even reschedule or take a day off from work for it. God should be the most important one on your list. If all you do is take 1 minute to pause and give thanks in the midst of the chaos, then that's enough. And to close out, the wonders of nature invite our admiration, but the wonder of the cross leaves us breathless, speechless in amazement. We worship Jesus' love displayed for us on the cross. We are humble, being mindful of the fact that we have been forgiven and the peace we have, and forgetting about ourselves. So, no matter how busy you are, no matter how turbulent things are getting, it is when things are their craziest that you absolutely have to stop and pause and just take a minute to tell God, thank you. If you can't thank Him for anything else, like, Lord, I thank you for this beautiful day. Lord, I thank you for the rain because we were going through a drought and we really needed it. You have something. God is always worthy of a praise. So there's at least one thing that you can give Him praise for. So, thank you, ladies, for tuning in again, I guess. And I hope that you got some today. And remember that to just take hold to those simple things and to give God thanks today, even if it's just for a brief moment. Just pause, take a breath, and give Him thanks. All right. Take care, ladies. Bye.